Yeah, we're starting in a minute here. So I'll put the link to Zoom if you guys want to join in Zoom. We're starting here in 30 seconds. Yeah, that's clearly still going to work on that. All right. Let me add everybody, admit all. To change that to the web key. Actually, I'll just.
Hello, hello.
Hey, guy, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. I thought he was going to not let me in, being a heckler.
No, we just, I mean, it's already an hour and a half long, and I mean, I got work to do, so.
No, that's fine. I get it. Work? What's that?
Good. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Oh. I'm sorry, I killed your video there, so it.
I was just about to say I can't start it.
That's weird. I don't know why it doesn't. It does.
Hi,
that.
guys.
Hello, John.
Hey.
Maybe that's a setting here. So I hope everyone's doing well. Oh, I see Zio786 is in the YouTube chat. Fail. So how's everyone doing? What are we working on?
I've been developing what we were talking about last time, about Raptors X's code. I found out why it wasn't working. I thought the group might appreciate the knowledge. Don't know what you guys have been up to.
We've been really busy.
Yeah. Yep. We have been actually playing around with some charts, some bar charts and stuff like that. We are looking at some functions, and probably later on we might be doing a video on that. And,
Awesome.
And for some people who might have used Excel for other automation, there are ways for creating charts directly with Excel. So it is very interesting that we could just go ahead and grab the Excel object, create a chart, create an image, then just put it on your GUI, for example.
Nice.
And that is actually something that it is interesting, and maybe somebody would like to know a little bit more about that later on.
I think you need a teaser, because I think there's a whole course behind that, isn't there?
Not really. Right now, we haven't talked about it.
I can see one in the future coming up.
I've done a lot with Excel over the years, and it's the one that's probably the most popular topic we have, right? That but it's it's very graphing in Excel is really, it's just very flexible, so it's very
it is.
Just a follow-up question about the script we've looked at maybe 3 weeks ago, that to create icons. Is it something you still have to do some work on that before making it available? Because it's something I would really like to use.
I think
Where is it?
I think it has been already uploaded, right?
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
Everybody, my camera's not working anymore, so I'll be
Oh.
audio only,
All
I
right,
guess.
Tom,
Hi, Tom.
I'll try it one more time, or you can leave and come back in. Maybe that'll. make
Well,
it-
I think what happened is when you turned it off, it kicked over to OBS.
All right.
So I think it just for some reason OBS just automatically took over the camera, but I'd have to end my
Oh, it does. Yeah, it does.
yeah. So I would have to end my stream. So oh well.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Good to know from now on.
You should, but you should be able to click the Zoom video button and select your camera.
That's what I did.
Okay, that's weird. I can choose. I normally choose between, but let me see. Let me try mine. So mine won't switch back. Oh, and now maybe I'm.
Now you're gonna have the you're gonna have the internet.
Click it again after it.
I turned it off in OBS and it's still like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
I turned it because you have to select it. After you select it, then you have to start it, which is to me really weird.
Yeah.
But now OBS, but it's still in OBS. So but now I can just I'm not streaming with OBS, so I can kill that, and I hopefully when I switch back. There we go. Yeah, sorry about
Yeah.
that. We'll figure it out. Next time we'll do
Yeah, we will figure out what happened there. So yeah. In any case, I don't know. We might start first with questions that people might have asked because we might want to kind of like get some help out there, right? Yeah, this is the first thing. If somebody has asked any questions, then just shoot them out. And
I've got a couple if there's no one else in the queue.
Going once. Going to, the only reason why I hesitate, guy, is yours are usually pretty long. That's all.
Well, no, this one's a quickie.
Okay, let's see it.
Well, don't be be polite enough to say, I'm sorry, guy, we're going to have to cut you off here. I won't be offended. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, we talked about your code with regards updating stuff, and you're using a Git repository. It was a script object that you wrote that comes with automate my task that you use to see if there's an update present. And we looked at that code, and for some reason it wasn't working for me. Well, I wasn't using GitHub as a repository. I was using my own website and a folder on my WordPress. We figured it out that once we put all the files into lowercase, then the browser could quite happily read the files.
okay.
So it was a case issue on labeling the files on the WordPress
wow.
site.
That's an interesting one, actually. So
Okay.
there might be somehow the host has some rules for
It depends on
reading
the
file, right?
the OS of your server.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nginx.
It's safer. Yeah, it's safer to use lower caps always
Yeah.
So,
when you name file on a web server.
so remember what I said? I don't know what I don't know. Well, I know it now.
Exactly.
The next thing is, while we were able to have it work beautifully using a browser, we couldn't get your code to work with it.
Mm.
So I figured out there's another code called WeGet, which is an open source that was able to download the files for me. And then I used your code once the files were stored locally. I used your code to do the comparisons, for the versions and that kind of stuff. It was just frustrating why it wouldn't work your code directly. That it was a forbidden error coming up.
Forbidden. Oh, okay. So sometimes, and this is something that happens when you're doing HTTP requests or downloading files using a script.
Yes.
Again, some servers might have some ways of detecting bots. And
Yes.
one of those ways is to use what is called a user agent.
Yes.
And if we use the HTTP request, we can modify that.
Yes.
If in my script, I don't think it's using HTTP request, it's using
using
download to file.
When HTTP request WinHTTP request 5.1 to
then
download.
then that's
Let's take a step back though and just understand what a HTTP request is and API call is, right?
Okay.
Every browser, when a browser connects to a server, that's an API call, right?
yeah.
Correct.
Browsers use a thing called a user agent to tell the server, hey, I'm Chrome version 100, whatever, right?
Exactly.
And then the server knows how to respond. Hey, am I giving them HTML? Am I doing this and that, whatever.
Okay.
When we use that COM object you just mentioned, we can be a bot and just not ignore, don't use the user agent, or we can add one and we can create whatever we want, right? And we can make it look like we're Chrome and connecting to it. And so that's how, again, they're all API calls. This is the most important part, right? A browser call is an API call. It's easy to forget that, but it's all still just HTTP traffic.
Right. So how could I make this look like a Chrome so I don't get stuck with this? Because I'd rather use one script than lots of different scripts patched together.
Well, the simplest way, and Isaiah, I don't know if you want to show your desktop just to demonstrate this, is to look at your web traffic of when you load a page to see what it's using as a user agent, right? I mean, and then just borrow from it.
Okay, I'd love to learn that. I don't know how to do that.
So what we could do, we could look at, I'm sorry?
Control-Shift-I was going to say was just don't use your tools because
Okay. No, I was just going to open Fiddler or something.
Yeah.
Or you wanted to see it directly here on the browser?
Right.
Yeah. So we can do it directly on the browser. I just press Control, just press F12, and it opens this panel here. Usually starts with the elements, and you can go to the network tab up here. And the network tab allows you to just see what the browser is requesting, every single one of its requests. Okay. So what I would do, just look at the URL. So this is the URL that I was looking at in here.
Okay.
So I click on that one, which is the same page that I was requesting. And in here, we could take a look at the headers. And that's the most important part. Mm-hmm. So the headers, you have two types of headers. The ones that you send, which are the request headers, mm-hmm. and the response headers is what the server sends you back, right? So in the request headers, you can tell what the browser told the server to do. So it told it, okay, go ahead and get me this path, which is a file-specific path. And in there's one of them that usually talks about the user agent. And there it is down here. So one of the headers is called user agent. And you can see the string that is used by this browser. And you can just copy that. You just copy that. And in your code, if you're using an HTTP, so you can say HTTP. So let's just use HTTP. So you have your COM object. And one of the things that you do after you open the connection, so you open the connection and now you say HTTP set request header. And that's how you set all those things that you see here, every single one of them. Okay. You can use it with this function called set request header. On the one hand, you put user agent, right? And put a comma. And on the other hand, you put the string, and that's it. So you can just copy the user agent from your browser mm-hmm. and see if that works. Okay. That is not guaranteed to work because the server might also take a look at your cookies. Okay, so it might have some information in the cookies. And if you do not set the cookies, it would also not work. So what you can do again, you just set the cookie, say http.set request header. The option is cookie. And then just put the cookies in there. So that way you're sending not only the user agent, but also the current cookies that page accepts or whatever. Okay. And if I do my HTTP request like that, it should answer normally. Of course, there are some sites that are more complicated than others. So they might have more security features and make it a little bit more harder for you to do this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Because again, you're basically spoofing or pretending to be something, right? Yeah. So some sites might have some other ways of double checking that you're not just a script or a bot, but most of the sites You just put the user agent and that's it. You should be good to go.
I tried the user agent bit, but maybe I got it wrong. The cookie is interesting. The cookie is generated locally when I visit the browser, or every session. So it might work today,
Every
not
session,
tomorrow.
exactly. It changes. It might change totally, and those are things. The cookies come in the response headers usually.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of the things that it would say is like set cookie and stuff like that. So those are things that they come from the server. But after you have it, and I would just visit the site with your browser first.
Yeah.
You can just use the same request headers that the browser used, just copy them and just set them up. And you should be good to go most of the time, unless they make it harder, which happens very often.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
He did a good job summarizing it, but he is simplifying it. And I got, at least a dozen, if not more, videos on API calls. And I have an API syntax writer, right, that helps you write.
Yeah.
And they're amazing, and it's far better than doing web scraping directly, but they are more complex in what you're doing.
Awesome. So thank you for that explanation. That solved it. Was that quick enough for you?
Let's see if if other users actually have their own questions, because that's but the main point of the thing is, if you are joining the stream and you have need help, usually we cannot answer every single person at once. So this session is here for people to just ask questions, and we have a general answer that might help other people as well. So in your case, most of the questions that you have are very specific to one program. Yes. And even though we can get some information out of it that might help somebody else, sometimes we dive too deep into very specific things that it is better to keep it a little bit more generalized, right?
I'm learning what I don't know, so I can.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. That's okay. So in general, that's the reason why we just go ahead and answer, because again, we can extract some things. Yeah. But your topics are very advanced. That's another thing. You're doing a very, very, very advanced topic. You might not realize it, but
for me, it's just I need a job done, and for me, coding has become a hobby now. It's not just work anymore. I actually enjoy it. So, other people go and watch football matches. I'd rather be coding. So another small quick question, and then tell me off if it's not. How long does it take to stop a script from running? If you suspend it or you pause the hotkeys, how long before it stops affecting the system and becomes benign?
That is a very good question. But again, those are type of things that go very deep, because that you're actually, it actually goes to how AutoHotkey interacts with the operating system.
Okay.
And that the answer is it depends. It depends in a lot of detail.
To be more specific, I mean, usually it's I'm not going to say instantaneous, but it's fast. However, you could be doing stuff like, actually, we have a video. Remember the one, and I wanted to rename it like, not Rapunzel. Who was the guy that slept forever? The fairy tale dude.
Me?
It's all fairy tale.
Snow White. Snow White.
No, the guy that he woke up after like 100 years, whatever. It doesn't matter. We had a video where we were using long sleeps. But the problem is when you use a long sleep, you can't do jack, right? Because like it's just sleeping.
Yeah, it is just So
it's like queued up, and how many threads are like queued up and stuff too.
Yeah.
So anyway, in this case, we wrote it where you didn't have the long sleep, and it was basically interruptible, even though you were still pausing. We broke it down where you do it differently, because when you tell it to sleep for 10 seconds.
There's 10 seconds, like 10 seconds stopping, right? But just again,
I was gonna say also, if you have like a set timer, it could also put it up. So you can make it a little faster if you need to, with like maybe lowering the max threads per hotkey.
Right.
That's something, maybe limited to like 2. That way it's not like queuing up stuff way too advanced till it gets to that suspend.
Okay,
right.
I'll give you.
Before you continue, just notice that suspending at hotkeys a script's hotkey does not stop the currently running thread, which means that if the script is doing something when you told it to suspend, at least the hotkeys. I'm not really sure if that actually this for suspend is just for the hotkeys.
Yes.
Unless you want something else, but at least if you're doing for the hotkeys, whatever is running will finish and then will suspend.
Because I'm trying to do the pause now rather than the hotkeys, because the hotkeys wasn't good enough for me.
Now, right next to it, it says, if you want to stop whatever is running, use pause for that.
Yeah.
So now maybe you can try using pause command, see if that helps you getting the result that you're needing. But usually, and this is something very important, most of the AutoHotkey documentation is really, really good. Actually, if I compare it to others,
yes,
it's really good because almost everything is there. And your question, which is very specific, has an answer right there. You know,
well, the reason is I've tried that. So to give you a background, I have a script that when you put in the zip code, looks up the address and pastes the address into your current application. This is a script written by someone else. I use it all the time for my business. However, it won't, anything that's running that's got a hotkey, hot strings attached and a AutoHotkey interferes with that script, and it won't paste into my CRM. It'll paste into Notepad, yes, but not into my CRM. So I thought when it exists, which I can detect when it comes up, when it gets activated, to suspend all the AutoHotkey scripts, either for a set amount of time or until the user presses a button. So and that way it enables me to use that, but it's still not working in terms of I've got to if I restart the computer from scratch and I don't run AutoHotkey anything, it works fine. The moment I start running AutoHotkey scripts that have hotkeys or hot strings, it stops working with my CRM, and I can't figure out why. So that's why I was inquiring, is there a way? So one of the things I have is a dictionary type that looks at what I'm typing, and it has a lot of scripts in there. I think it's one of the ones that's commonly available, and it's very heavy on hot strings because all the dictionaries in there, and it's looking for all the words in the dictionary to see if whether you misspelled them or not.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, I also wanted to clarify something which earlier, as I was saying, is when you tell it to suspend the hotkeys, that's what it does. It doesn't do everything else, which is what Lexico is saying, right? But I'll guarantee you that hotkey won't work right after you suspend it, right? Like that's my point. Is it doesn't, it reacts right away, but it doesn't stop what was going on, right? Now, the other thing I'd say, your comment about the tool doesn't paste into your CRM, I think that's something that I'll bet you money that's easy to fix, right? Like that's a real surprise to me. Like if something can't paste in there, the first thing I do is just make sure you're running it as an admin to see if that helps. But you can also send keys. Did you try it with the send event or send input? Trying different send. There's 3 different types of send commands.
You're right. My AutoHotkey script can paste into my CRM easily. Okay. This zip code script is written by a third party, not through AutoHotkey. Yes. So I have no control over it. Apart from it's really
but you could bridge the gap. You could have something monitoring that and then have AutoHotkey go paste it in the other tool.
Correct. So my next question is, if it'll paste into Notepad, which I can make it paste into Notepad, yes, then I can build a bridge between the two.
But my point is, why would you even bother with the clipboard? What's it called? Clipboard. It's not clip wait. It's the other one on clipboard change.
Yes.
Right? You could be monitoring your clipboard and then have it, all you got to do is figure out how to detect it's actually the thing you want and to take action automatically.
Okay. So in which case I can I open a GUI and monitor anything that is sent to that GUI? How would you do that?
I don't understand.
How would you build that bridge? What was the most common method you would build that bridge?
Is it a GUI that is it a program or one you're making in AutoHotkeys?
No, this is a third-party program that I have no control over. So it's not like I can go and edit it. It's not an AutoHotkey script.
So you're just seeing if the GUI has made a change.
Well, what I'm saying is when I launch it and it works by pasting things into WordPad quite happily. But if there's any AutoHotkey programs running, it won't run with my CRM. So I've got to build some kind of bridge between the two.
Yeah. In that case, I would just, if you have any, like you say, if there are other AutoHotkey scripts, this one doesn't work. But if they're not, then this one works.
Correct.
If that's what you're saying.
Yes.
One of those one of those programs has something. So then just go one by one, removing one by one until you figure out which one is the one causing the issue.
Now, I figured out that if there's any hotkeys or hot strings in any of the programs, it stops this working. In any. Okay. So, and suspending the hot strings doesn't work. So I thought of pausing the script, but pausing the script doesn't work. The only way it works is if I restart the machine without AutoHotkey programs running at all.
It's funny. This sounds exactly like, and I forget who it was last week. We had
we had exactly the same thing.
And it turns out it was just a conflicting program. And all he ended up doing was he reached out to me later. Was he just had it launching last? He just had it launch after, and that cured everything.
Right.
So have what launch
Just making sure you're not using the same hotkeys in one of your scripts, right?
No, it's not. No, it's because the program launches. So it's the pasting, not the launching and the running that is interfering.
Well, I'm just making sure, because I've seen someone who had something that almost sounds like this, where he was like, I'm launching 2 scripts and the first one stops working. I'm like, well, yeah, because you're using the same hotkey in both scripts. When you go to the new script, it takes over the hotkey. So yeah. I'm just throwing that out there to make sure.
No, it's not a hot string conflict. It's actually a running program conflict. If there's any hot strings or hotkeys in any of my scripts that are running, it'll stop. It'll stop pasting into my CRM, but it'll carry on pasting to other programs, which is really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually say that's really bizarre, not frustrating.
Yes.
Anyway. Yeah, it's really weird.
Well, I wouldn't want to bore you with the general stuff that anyone else can solve, you know?
Well, but I would consider doing is, have you tried launching this other third-party tool you're talking about? Have you tried running it as an admin?
You can't auto-launch as an admin from a start menu, but I have tried running it as an admin, not from the on startup. I will try again. I don't know where it's set at the moment. I know.
Well, I'm just curious if that fixes the ability for it to paste, it negates, a lot of the troubles, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just seems like a weird thing.
You got a tail growing out.
No, but actually, Joe, we have been having this set of bugs lately. Like this one that he's explaining, the one last week, and the one that I have been dealing with. That there's some strange bugs that are not easily, and this is part of programming. So whoever is watching, like you're doing fine, everything is working fine, and just from the sudden it stops working, and you have no clue why it's not.
But this is down to experience. This is down to experience, and that's why people are asking you the questions, because you have the experience.
Also, make sure you're running your script as admin if you're going to run the one.
My script is running at admin. My script is running as admin. It's a third-party one, and I'm just going to mess about with it now to make sure it's running as admin. I'm just doing that now. So answer someone else's question. I'll get back to you whether they'll work or not.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But understanding where to start and, on this stuff, it's one of those things that just takes time and experience, right? And actually Isaiah says, he'll try stuff and then he gets me and we break it down to the dumbest, simplest things. And often that's what it is. It's one of the assumptions you're making that you don't realize because it's so simple, and then that'll figure it out. But yes, it does just take practice of slowing down. Does anyone else have a question on something?
Well, just following on that, how do you make this script run as admin? Or
you ask real nicely. No,
there's 2 ways.
There's
we do have some code for that.
But yeah, the simplest one is just right click on it and say run as admin, right? Or you can create a shortcut to it if you want it to launch. In the shortcut, you can go into, is it in there like advanced somewhere in there and say run the script, run the shortcut as an admin.
And the properties,
You can also code it into your script too.
Right.
Where it's like, if not, I forget exactly what it is because I hardly ever use it, but you can code it into your script also if you want.
I'll throw it up in the.
I would go that way if you're going to be sharing your script. But Joe's way, if you're just going to be using your script on your computer personally.
Well, especially if you're just testing it, because you can get it done in a second and it's not complicated. I'll throw it into both Zoom and to the YouTube chat. As this, I think originally was from, I can't put it in the stupid YouTube chat because of the curly braces.
Yeah, maybe a gist.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Is it possible to look at the code at Task Manager to see if it's running as admin?
Yep. Sorry, in the Task Manager.
Yeah, in Task Manager, give me a list of programs are running.
Yeah, but I don't think the default Windows Task Manager might not give you that information.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And just to throw it out there too, a lot of times, if you're running your script as admin, you're going to want to run the program that if you're interacting with a program as admin also, which with that, you're going to do the right click, run as admin or whatever, or the other way that Joe had mentioned where you go into the settings for the program.
Right. Well, okay. So the reason why I took it away from admin was because Windows Startup does not allow you to start any programs up as admin from the startup folder. They have to be non-admin.
That's what I was going to say. Like sometimes running the script as an admin is actually causing an issue instead of fixing it. So
yeah, but why don't you just have an AutoHotkey script that gets started and then you launch it?
Correct, and that's the way around it. Absolutely. So I'm running as admin now, and I'm just testing it, see if it works.
The two things that I tell people to do when you have like a hotkey or hot string kind of thing don't work. One is temporarily run it as an admin, see if that fixes it. If that doesn't fix it, turn off your UAC stuff just for the test and see if that fixes it. If neither of those,
guys, it worked. It worked. It worked if I'm running as admin, and it pasted in beautifully. The big issue was I turned off the admin because I couldn't auto launch it as admin from Windows.
Oh, but you can. So the code that Joe just pasted, you just put it on your script.
This is his. That's not AutoHotkey tool.
Oh, okay. Oh, the other one. Okay.
No. The script is running as admin. I've got Joe's code. It's working beautifully.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So what I'll have to do is make the program run as admin and launch it from the code rather than from my startup window. It'll be fine.
Yeah, very likely. And actually, the script, your script, can launch that program as an admin by doing the same, like the asterisk run as.
Run as, absolutely.
And that would launch it as an admin as well.
Yep. So I think that's the way around it. But you know what? Until I talk to you guys again.
Sorry, real quick. That's something I've done is just put a script as a startup item and then have it run
all the things.
Everything else doesn't happen. Just really just using literally the code I just sent there, or that Isaiah mentioned. Same thing.
So where's the code? You put it in the chat.
Oh, in the Zoom chat.
In the Zoom chat. Okay.
So you just make a script that has, a line with every program.
Yeah, I've got that. Yes, I've got that.
For command.
Yeah.
Prompt. So you just change it to whatever.
And just know any script, if your script is running as an admin, any one you launch will also be kicked off as an admin.
So the first one, you launch it as an admin, and any file or script that script starts will also be started as an admin.
Awesome.
So I saw a thing from this space here on my chat, and Tom, you're just because you do a lot of gaming stuff. I don't know if you saw this. I want to write a script loop that will click a mouse cursor in a game, type in a variable, click enter, change the variable by a constant value, and repeat the loop.
Script loop. Yeah, okay, I see it.
Okay. Do you want to be working, or you want to do it live? Just, I mean, it's a pretty simple overall.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you're just using kind of like click and stuff. Send, yeah. Let me share. Hopefully sharing my desktop works.
Oh yeah, sure.
I don't even have Notepad open or anything. Let's
There you
open
go. There we go.
Notepad plus. Wait.
Now, the hardest part of what you said, just the hardest part of coding wise, is
This almost seems like
deciding how to click that first mouse cursor, right? Of like, is it going to be a location? Is it a picture? You know,
yeah,
how
that's what I was going to say. Is it just going to be where your mouse is? Is it going to be, is it always going to be in the same location? That would be the one thing I guess I really need to know is for that, but everything else is pretty simple.
Right.
So it's just kind of, you know, create your hotkey, whatever. Obviously that can be whatever. I'm just using F1. That's what I always run. So I'll come back to the mouse cursor thing if he answers. Type in a variable. So, you know, I don't know how you're getting your variable, but, you know, you can just do variable equals hello world. It's hard to type because I have my mic over my keyboard and I always can't see where I'm typing. And then you can do send. So I don't know if that variable, you're creating it in your script or if you're getting it from your clipboard, you know, here, just put clipboard. You can also do it this way where you don't even need this line of code. You just do send hello world. We'll do it the little bit more advanced way there. And what was next? Click enter. So when you're doing this, you can do one line. You don't have to do another send unless you need a sleep. The game might, let's say there's a bit of a lag with the game. You might have to, you know, put this down here. And then just add like, you know, you'll have to play around with this number. Every game's going to be different. Every computer is going to be different.
Line 4.
Yeah, you want
Yeah.
var there instead of hello world.
Wait, what?
Line 4. You want
What
to use
about
your var there. You want to use your.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to change that back. All right, yeah. And then what was next? Change the variable by a constant value. I mean, I don't know if it's like a number thing.
Looks like a number, yeah. So long as he's talking about a number, then you could just
do
yeah.
variable.
Then now plus,
and that's going to add 1. Now you want to loop it. So there's a bunch of different loops that you can use. What is there, like 5 loops?
5, at least.
But the simplest one is going to be that. If you need to loop it a certain amount of times, you can do that.
You might want to move line 4 outside the loop.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm still half asleep.
it happens.
But it's going to look, yeah, something like this. Now, I mean, with the loop, there's a bunch of different ways you can go here for how you're going to get out of this loop. You can do like a toggle within there, which is kind of like an on and off switch. You can do like if variable equals, what was it, 10 break. And when you use a break, that just means it's going to jump outside of your code. So in this case, we don't really need a return, but if you did have more code down here though, you would want to put a return here. Just so that, like, you know, if you have code down here or whatever, it's not going to trigger. Well,
would you use a index rather than the variable if it's only going up by 1? Or is that too complicated?
I mean, yeah, you can do that kind of stuff. I just do it this way because I just think this is the simplest way.
Okay.
They're both pretty simple, but this is also what I'm just used to, is just doing a variable plus plus. That just means add 1. Now, as far as some tips, if this code, you know, however you play around with it doesn't work, a lot of video games do need to be in window mode. You can't play full screen and have it work. The reason behind that is it's to prevent keyloggers. You know, if it's especially a game where you need to sign in, like World of Warcraft or something, it's going to have to be in window mode. That's one of the biggest questions that come up like all the time is, oh, my code, it works in this program, but it refuses to work in this program. Why? I'm like, try window mode. And like 75% of the time that fixes the issue. Also going back to the whole admin thing, sometimes because you're doing, you know, online gaming or whatever, you do need to run the script and the game in admin mode, and that will usually fix it too. Trying to think what else. There was one other issue that came up a lot. Oh, it's playing with like the sends, you know, using, you know, like send event, send play, trying all those different kind of things. Games can be a little bit complicated to get them working with AutoHotkeys. You know, everybody has different kind of ways how the game interacts with, you know, just like key presses and stuff, how it antivirus works. You know, is it just going to block anything that seems automated? I don't know if he said anything more. I forget his username.
No, this space. No, I haven't seen anything more.
We can also try send key delays.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Few games like delay. Okay, so we need to set send key delay for few games to work. Keys for work.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of playing around. Unfortunately, there's no like solid answer. You know, it depends what kind of loop you want to use. How are you getting your variable? What kind of send do you have to use? Do you need sleeps? A lot of games, you can't send keys, you know, pretty much instantly like that. You know, doing something like this, like I was saying before, we can put everything on one line. Something like that is going to, sometimes like you might get part of this, like it might not send the one, but the enter will get hit, or the other way around, like the one sends, but the enter doesn't hit because it's still like the game's still processing this.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Just as a quick reminder, you can always use the set key delay.
yeah, that's
and
what
it is exactly for this type of things.
Which is
The
what
only-
Zeros was saying.
And the only thing is that just keep in mind that if you're using the set key delay, you might have trouble sending hotkeys. So instead of,
Yeah.
you will send a string like the var and the enter, but if you want to send Control A, you would have to put it on its own place because the key delay between the control and the A might not make it work as a hotkey any longer. So
Yeah.
just keep those in mind.
I like using set key delay in normal scripts, but when it comes to gaming scripts, I tend to stay away from that just because the sleeps can be so different sometimes. You know, if you're in a menu, it's not using a lot of processing power. So it's usually fine to send pretty quickly. But if you're in like World of Warcraft in a busy city, suddenly like, you know, that game's going to lag. It's not going to interact as fast as it should with like your AutoHotkey script.
No, but what I would say is like you would set the key delays for this loop something, because I think that in your case, you're saying like you set it at the top of the script and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's not what I meant. So right above the loop, you put it in one at certain speed, and after the loop, you set it back to faster speed. So you can change it as many times as you want. And for example, in very intensive locations, you might make the delay a little bit higher. And if you're in a menu, you can make the delay a little bit. So now below the loop, like after the loop, you can set another key delay, but you know, -1.
This space
Or
also,
wherever you want to put it.
Right. So however you want to do it.
Here too.
he also added and just said he's, you know, this is close. He in order, he wants the loop for the script to click the mouse cursor in a fixed XY position.
All right. So that's it. So he would just use the mouse click. Yeah. I would use the click, or you know, just the click command, and that's it.
What would you use? You said you would use click. Over mouse click.
For this, if it is just clicking one place, I would
Oh,
use the
yeah.
click. Yeah. Now, if he wants to double click or move the wheel or something like that, then yeah, I would use mouse click over.
Well,
Yeah.
it also, which I doubt, but you know, because in games, generally speaking, you don't have individual controls that you can see, right? But if you did, being able to send control clicks is, you know, has some big advantages if it works.
So there's the click right there. It's just a simple click. You know, your X and Y. That's how you get that. And if you need to, like, you don't know where it is, you can always use what is it? Mouse get position. If you're not sure, I always forget that one. That was the same thing. Yeah. So you could do something like F2, like that.
What I found sometimes is that you've got to click twice in order to make it work. Move the mouse to a particular position, and then, for instance, and then click on it, because just the click in direct position did not work for me on that particular program. So the line before, I had to use move mouse to 100, 500, and then click mouse 100, 500, because just the click 100, 500 just didn't work.
That is interesting. There is an option for the mouse click command that allows you to, it's kind of like send play, which is not simply just clicking immediately. It actually moves before clicking.
Yes.
So instead of having two lines, you could have done it in one as well.
Correct. I tried that. I looked it up. I tried that, and I still needed to put click underneath it to make it work with that particular program.
It was a very specific thing.
These things are very program specific.
Yes.
It depends on how the original programming's done. So you're going to have to experiment.
Yeah, that's right.
Another thing a lot of people don't recognize or realize too is a lot of programs are, I can never remember the word. It starts with an E, but it's like Chrome based. Like AutoHotkey is terrible with those kind of programs. I think it's like, oh, well, I can never remember the name of the type of programs. There's quite a few out there. A lot of, I think even Zoom might be one, or Teams. I forget.
Right. All of those, they're using Chrome as the engine, but I'm not really sure what word you mean. But yeah. So for example,
it's like, I know it starts with an E. It's like Electron or something.
Oh, yeah, it is. I know. Hold on. I know which one you mean. Yeah.
I can never remember the name except for that starts with an E. And like you get those questions and like
you did it right. It's Electron JS.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is a type of, it is a type of language. Technically, it is JavaScript, but it is basically a Chrome window with JavaScript that looks like an app, but it's really a Chrome window. So yeah, AutoHotkey has issues connecting to the Chrome.
Oh yeah.
So
and
directly with Chrome,
like
it is
first thing I Google. I'm like, is this program
an Electron program?
And then in which case I'm just like, oh boy, I don't know. I'm going to be able to help you.
Yeah.
Well, you have to do image stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Basically imaging.
Or
image or pixel search, which is
there are alternatives
depending on what you're doing.
Right? Sometimes you can use like a tab indexed kind of approach, depends on the program. Sometimes if you maximize it, it's always in the same spot. So you can use coordinates. You know, the ACC and the UI automation tools, sometimes on some of these, like I can peek into Zoom, I think with the UI automation tool, but I can't remember. Let me launch it with the ACC one. But
so real quick, just to finish this one up, this will get your mouse position. So let's say I want to click, here. I'm gonna go here, push F2, and there's my X and Y. I'm just gonna copy those to this area right here, and that's gonna click every time in that position. So yeah, all right, that was all.
Tom, maybe just a final touch about the logic of the loop, just for the user to know that there's two ways your loop will end, because you on line 6 you say 10, so it will loop 10 times, and on line 10 you say if var equals 10 break, so only one of the two would be required. here because
Oh,
it will
yeah,
loop
yeah.
only 10 times, so it will never get more than var equal 10 or 11
Originally,
maybe.
I had it like this.
So this loop is infinite and will break only when you have the condition on line 10 that will break it.
You're correct.
It's one or the other, depending on the needs of the user.
This would be the other way right here. It's just deleting that 10
Yeah.
and then having that, you know, at 10 or something.
And another way is to check for a key press. So it will run until you press a given key, which is often something that is convenient.
Like an escape key, just so you don't get an infinite loop.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, now that you just mentioned that, let's drive that for anybody who is dealing with this. If you create a loop and it doesn't have an end, like if it doesn't have a number 10 in there, like in line 6, loop 10, if he takes the 10 away, the first part of the loop that I always code is how the loop is going to exit. Because you forget, and then you start with your script and then you're in an infinite loop, and yeah, it's really annoying. So usually start with how the loop is going to end, and then you continue with your code.
And then you can kill the loop from the task pad. You can right click on the loop and hit exit.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
So it is possible. You know.
Yeah, it's possible, of course.
And another thing too, sometimes you want to do
match threads per hotkey. Yes.
This is kind of also a safety thing too. If you're going to be putting a toggle inside your loop, or, you know, that's how you're going to exit is through a toggle, you definitely want to put this, because if you're doing a loop, especially this going really fast, it's basically going to be impossible to use the toggle.
It is max thread.
Max thread per hotkey.
Max, yeah. You're missing your mix. The C is an X, right? Max threads.
So.
What's the advantage?
Fast threads. They were mock threads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in 32-bit, it's a single thread throughout the whole program. Is that correct?
And in 64 as well. It doesn't have to do anything with the bitness of AutoHotkey.
Okay, so the max threads per hotkey, that means you can have one loop per hotkey running at the same time.
So, well, not exactly. So what happens here is that AutoHotkey only runs in a single line. It's just single threaded, okay?
Yes.
Now, what it does is it is not going to create two threads. It's just going to check periodically for the other hotkey. That's what it's going to be doing. So it is running straight, but every certain time, specific amount of time, it's going to check if you have pressed a hotkey or not.
Okay.
If you have, then it's going to exit back and it's going to say like, hey, a hotkey has been pressed. So let's do whatever that hotkey was supposed to do. And the original thread is paused for a second while you continue with the second hotkey that you press. So it's a little bit complicated in the sense of how it does it, but just know that it is always one thread, even though you said like max threads per hotkey 2. It's not that there's two threads. It's just that it performs a specific kind of check every certain time to make sure that if you press a hotkey or not. That's all.
So
there is ways to fake.
Remind me.
It's a fake thread. Yeah.
Remind me the purpose of that command. Then why would you put that command in
when you first become a junior developer?
Because again, as we mentioned, AutoHotkey is one thread, right?
Right.
If the thread enter into a loop, right, nothing else is going to work. You cannot press hotkeys. You cannot show message boxes. You cannot do anything because you're in a loop.
Yep.
So if you want to check for a second hotkey press, you have to tell AutoHotkey that you need at least 2 threads, max threads per hotkey 2.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right now, in that case, in the loop, like while you're in the loop,
it's checking.
AutoHotkey is going to be checking for a second hotkey just in case. You know, that's what is going on.
And if it's pressed, it'll interrupt the loop to execute and then come back.
Exactly, and it come back to the loop. So if you have a hotkey that switches a toggle on and off, and inside the loop you have an if statement that if the toggle is off, it goes out. Then the AutoHotkey is going to check for the hotkey press. It's going to switch the toggle, come back to the loop. But when it come back to the loop, the toggle has been switched, so the loop is going to come up.
Okay.
And that's where you put your break is inside the toggle.
Exactly.
I feel like I had something else I was going to say about this. No, I don't remember. They'll come to me.
The loops, I found there's a lot of variables available in loops for you automatically in the documentation. So are really, really, really helpful.
Yeah, I think there's like 5 different types of loops in AutoHotkeys.
But when you start nesting loops, you start running into the A index becomes, I've found I've had to use your variable method plus as opposed to using A index in the index loop, because it's associated with the loop within the loop and you get into confusion. So I found out I couldn't rely on some of the preset variables if I'm nesting loops.
Well, the A index gets overwritten, right? It's going to get over. So you have to store a new variable to capture it to keep it.
Correct.
Which is also why my default is the for loop. And then I can automatically have my own variables for them. I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I think I cover 5 versions, 5 loops in the intermediate AutoHotkey course.
Yeah, they're very powerful.
Somebody was asking in the chat, just for other people if they don't know, if you can check if your script is running as well. If you, how can you tell if the AHK file is running as an admin? Now that is a question. Again, it is simple if you are the owner of the script, because inside the script you can use a variable called A is admin. And with that, it would tell you, yes, it's admin or not.
Show us,
right, sure.
Just because it's simple, and it sounded like it was a little bit, he was perplexed. So
no, so basically here, you can have a as admin. There is a variable that you can check whether your script is running as admin or not. Right now is 0 because my script is obviously not running as an admin. If we create some code like we did before, like if not A is admin, then run as, right? And then if I remember correctly, was the path to the script. So a script full path, I think it is. Oh no, that's not it. Oh yeah, that's it. Right. So I would, if it is not admin, I would run myself again, but this time as admin. This message box should look like a little bit differently, but as my script creates a temporal file, I don't know if that's going to run. Let me see, hold on. No, application. Yeah, exactly, because my script itself uses a very special type of files. So let's go ahead and do this.
Well, your testing tool there that you're demonstrating it.
Right. The tool that I'm using for that is the one that is a little bit trickier. But let me just save this as test.hk. Right. And let's see what happens when I go ahead and run it. So now it asks me if I want to run it as an admin, because I think you cannot see that.
Right.
But now notice that I have a second message box. One of them is 0 because that was the first time it ran. But the second time it actually came back as a 1. So you have a way to check whether you are admin or not, okay? And the way is using that variable inside your script. Now, if you are, if you're trying to get information about another program, well, that becomes a little bit trickier. You would have to go with DLL calls, and the one that I would look for is the LSA open policy. And this is a function that it gives you information about the attributes of a specific program. So in this case, you can use this function to gather information about if a particular program or another script is running as an admin or not. But that goes a little bit more deeper than, what we can cover in here. In general, just use the is admin variable if it is inside your own code.
Thank you for that. I got it working in mine now. How do I change the 0 or the 1 into text, like that would give a simple message saying,
Yeah.
yes, it's running.
Yeah, so basically you can use an if statement, or what I usually do is the ternary operator. So you just use an expression here.
Write it out first, Isaias, please, as a if expression, and then convert it to a ternary.
Oh, right. Okay, so let's do this.
It'll be easier for him to understand the ternary if you take that approach.
Right. If A is admin, then you can have, like, let's have a variable here that says is admin, right? Else, let's do this. Whoops. And then message box text, so txt. So this would.
What's awesome is you could write anything you want, right? Something.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, or like you just set it to true or false, like, yeah. But basically, as you can tell, I'm using an if statement to decide what the text is going to be. But notice that it is taking me 4 lines to do that, and a variable. I could do the same thing without any of that. I just grab the variable here, use a question mark, and that question mark is just checking whether whatever here on the left is true. It can happen, you can have a whole expression there, whatever you want. In this case, we're just checking if that is set. If it is 0, it's not going to be true. If it is true, yeah. So if it is true, the first part of this is going to be executed, which in this case is going to be is admin. And to set the false statement, you put a colon there. Now that you have the colon, now is not admin. And now I could just dispose of all this, and in one line, I can have it so that it would just go ahead and tell me whether it's admin or not. So this is a very handy thing whenever you're deciding stuff, and that is simple, like just having one.
True or false. Well, guys, thank you. I've just learned something that I didn't know that I didn't know.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, this is a very good thing, is the ternary operator. I use it very often, but it can get messy or hard to understand if you try to do very complex stuff with it. So I usually just use it for very simple yes or no thing. So is this true? Yes or no? That's it.
Could you put something like, instead of is admin, you can put variable equals X,
you can
Y,
put
Z,
you can put,
and the other one is variable equals something else.
Yes, of course. And basically this is a message box. This whole thing is an expression. So
yes,
I could just put here, usually, and this is a good idea, always put parentheses around your ternary operator. No, around your ternary. Yes.
Grab what I threw into the Zoom chat, just because it doesn't paste well into YouTube, and just show, this is it's a hot string I have. When I'm going to write a ternary, this is what I throw it in there. And it helps me make sure I have all the parameters, and then I flatten it down to one line.
Let me, yeah. So basically, let me put it here because it might look a little bit better. Right. So you just already have it created, and you have the condition. This is what you're checking. If that is true, you're going to do something here. And now notice that the else, he put it on a second line. You can do that. You can start a second line with an operator. But the reason why he put it in a second line is because now he's going to perform a second check. So now in this second check, you have a true and another else statement that also performs another check. So he has 3 different checks going on. In the end, what he does is that probably he just goes ahead and flattens it to one line. Now, notice how difficult it is to understand what is going on in here. Because in one line, it is hard to tell when you're branching out, and he branched out 3 times. So the ternary operator is very cool, it's very flexible, but it can get messy very quickly. And if you want to have your code in a way that you can later on know how to fix it, or if you want others to fix it, having a very long ternary that checks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, is a little bit of a thing that I would avoid as much as possible. Or having it like this, having it in different, lines makes it a little bit easier to read and know what is going on. Okay, so that's another option.
While we're on this general topic, is this, why don't you give a really quick one of the switch command, which FYI, because we ran into this the other day, the switch command does require a more up-to-date version of AutoHotkey, because it's what, like around version 32?
Yeah, 30.
Somewhere around there.
If you have anybody, if you want to double check what is the requirement for a specific command, just go to the switch and it tells you where exactly you have that command. If you have version 1.130 or lower, you will not have the switch command available. But in general, the switch command, there is a debate whether you use if and else statements or switch commands, okay? They do the same thing. But there is a situation when I would use a switch command, and there's a situation when I would use if and else statements. So if you have a variable that can contain all different values, but it's only one thing, like for example, it can contain a number, 1, or it could be 2, or it could be 3, or it could be a letter, like letter D, right? Or letter A. So this same variable can contain multiple things, and you want to act differently on each of them, I would rather use a switch statement, because you say switch, and then you say the cases. Case 1. So when the variable is 1, do something. When the case is 2 and 45, so I could do that, and it is very simple to understand what is going on. So if the variable can contain a very specific thing, one variable, one letter, something, then you could say if the case is A, then do that. Now, if what you're trying to do is to check a more complex thing, like for example, if the variable equals 20 and variable below 100, less than 100 or something like that, like you're performing 2 checks at once on that same variable, you cannot use the switch statement anymore, because you cannot say like case var more than 100 and var not equals 500. That you cannot do with a case statement as easily. I would use an if else statement for that. So in this case, for switches, I would do, for example, this case, I would use a variable, use a number like this, or whatever it is, to check if that variable has a specific value. That's all.
So for instance, if that variable was a file name and you can have 5 different possibilities, you could use case 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's
exactly. So, and you do it like this: switch the name of the variable and do this. One very important thing: the switch statement is case sensitive.
Oh, okay.
So if you have case A here, message box. So let's say message box true. If I do this, I get a true there, but I had an issue that now I don't know when, or maybe that is in version 2.
Would set case sensitive work with the switch, turning it off?
Let me double check something, because last time, and I was having such a hard time with it.
Sure, it did, Isaias.
Yeah, there it is. So it is true. What happens is in version 1, it is case insensitive. Okay, so in version 1, it is case insensitive, but in version 2, if you're using it, this is not going to show me a message box because it is case sensitive. And I was not expecting that, because AutoHotkey is a case insensitive language. So I was expecting that so I was expecting that A and lowercase a and uppercase A was going to be the same. In version 1, now I can confirm, yes, it is.
Well,
so it is.
You add at like the beginning of the script, case sensitive, like turning it off. Would that work with the switch?
I'm not really sure. Let me double check. So
I know
you're
it
saying,
works sometimes with certain commands, but sometimes with some.
so let me see, case. You're referring to the case command here. So, well, no. So here, so they have a case sense right next to the switch statement. So you have the switch value and you can set the set. Yeah, you can turn it off.
Okay.
Which is something that I was not aware of until now, but I didn't know that, but in general, that is in version 2. Version 1 doesn't have that issue if you're just working with version 1. And there is a reason why case sensitivity is a good idea when you're doing a switch statement. But I was not aware that it was like that by default.
Look up what is it, like string case sense. You can turn it off that way. As I'm wondering if that would work or not.
Notice as well that you can have different values separated by commas. Okay. So, but I think they all must be true, and that's the thing. You cannot have like an or statement in there, then
like
which is right. If it contains 1 and 2, right? Like you can. And this is good because I was searching for something like there's 2 situations when I want to run the same code. I don't want to have a case for each of them. So this is a good situation. Those 2 cases would run the same thing, but not an or statement. That's where it doesn't work. So that's where I would go with an if statement, or when I'm just running a bunch of.
If you look in the chat, this is the line of code I'm talking about. I was wondering if that would work.
String case sense off. Let's double check on that.
Because this works with some things, with some commands, but sometimes it doesn't work with all commands for some odd reason.
Right. So this applies to the expressions, so expression operators, okay, so equals and for the in string, the string replace, the if statements, if var is not a specific type, but I do not see the switch statement here, so I wouldn't assume that it works with it.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even think to look on here.
And we could just try it. So basically,
I was gonna say,
just
reading it. I'd be like,
right. Yeah, I know, but in general, I off. So if I have that, basically this is for what, version 1? The problem is in version 1 is always off. But let me see if in version 2, and that's the thing. In version 2, I do not have string case sense. So that is something that doesn't exist in version 2. So hold on, what?
There's a variable built in. Is it on a underscore?
Let me see. So one of the changes from 1 to v2 is probably that they removed it. So those are the things that got removed. You see, so in version 2, they removed case sense because now probably the command itself has its own variable for making the string case sense or not, which is what happened with the switch command. So the switch command in version 2 allows you to set the case right there, which, yeah, we don't need it in version 1. That's all.
A quick question for you. You put the colon between is admin and not admin. Are there any other operators you can put in there?
No. So this, and this is a set of, they both work together. If you put one of them and you miss the other, sometimes you might get an error. It might tell you like something is wrong. That doesn't, like, if I put like if it admin, I think it would tell me something about it.
But to clarify, you can put whatever test you want.
Yeah.
Right.
You can put whatever test you want.
This is the logic of true or false. It's good.
No, I understand. It's the operators, the question mark and the colon. They only appear in that particular order. There's no other alternatives.
No. So those are the only 2 that has to do with this operator, and it is called the ternary operator because it has only 3 parts to it. The first part is where it checks whether it's true or false, the part where it's true, and the part that is false. Right. Yeah. And you can compound them in the true or the false. You can also perform another check if you want.
So
but basically, you can nest them, which is the example that I was showing with Joseph's code.
Yes.
So he was nesting them, and yes, it is totally doable. It is possible. It's just simply not recommended. But yeah, this is nested.
Sometimes I'm sure there's a specific point where that will do the job beautifully.
Right. So here,
it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. In this case, if you use a ternary and you put parentheses around it, you can put expressions in front and after it normally. And I could just say, is the script admin, for example, as a text, and then say yes or no here, yes or no. And now this part here is always in every single instance of the message box, right? But the part that changes is just the one in parentheses here, the yes or the no. So now when I run it, is the script admin? No. So yeah, answering the question.
Gotta run.
Okay, so just answering the question that was made previously. Yes, you can make the text be whatever you want. And if you want just part of that text to be varying based on the expression that you have here, then you just put it in parentheses with the question mark and the colon just to do that for you.
The one thing I'd also just add to this as a general guide, I guess, kind of rule of thumb, which is I've noticed over years, is the more sophisticated of a programmer you are, the least likely you are to ever store variables if you don't have to, right? Like we get more and more familiar with writing all this complex stuff because I don't need to store a variable. And the thing I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is the reason why is those can lead to conflicts besides just the memory, usage and stuff. You can end up using the same variable multiple times, and that just happens a lot with everybody.
Especially if I'm in global space, then I would try not to use a variable as much as I can. But it's as you say.
Using a variable makes it much easier to follow often. And so what I'll often do is I will write it first, storing it in a variable, and even storing it first, and then I use that variable in a function call, and then and then after I get it all done, I might go remove the
variable, and that's it. Yeah,
right in there. But to Zeus's point, you think it's better, and I think when you're storing a variable and you're getting rid of it, maybe that is. But when you compress things so densely and then later you go back to read them, it makes reading it so much harder.
That's where using the right tool for the right job is a good thing. So if you're just going to do a very simple check and it's going to be one or the other, like for example, is the computer 32-bit or 64-bit? That's a very simple question, and you can make it with a ternary operator. That's a place where you would do it. But in other cases, use a switch case statement or use an if and else statement because they're better for whatever you're supposed to do. So Ray, I see that you have a question.
Oh, thanks. Could I share my screen? I'll show you.
Yeah, sure.
Of course.
As long as it's not privileged information.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too.
Or pedophile stuff.
That doesn't go either. Okay.
Can you see it? This is what I've got here. It does check if it's admin. Without the message box, I think I've got it in the wrong order or something.
Right. Yes. The line 16, you might delete it. I think line 16 there. Yeah, you can delete that.
14, you don't need to exit app because when you say run as, it's going to automatically.
Which is. Yeah, but it's still it does.
No, it has to exit this one because it's going to open itself in an admin mode. But the one that was not in admin mode stays running or runs other code if you leave it. So that's okay. Keep it in there. But now, what happens in line 20 is that you don't want to put the variable itself. You want to put the txt variable. TXT is the one that has the information whether it's admin or not admin.
But with the exit app, he has single instant force up there, 8. That's what I.
Oh well, yeah, okay, yeah, it's true. In that case, yeah, it is true.
It doesn't hurt though.
Yeah.
I personally, I'd leave. That's why it's in my template, but that's just my thought. I'll use, exits, and I use returns even when you don't quote unquote need them, just because it's just good practice.
Yep, but it's true. The single instance force would take care of that, but in general, just leave it there. It doesn't matter. So if you run it now,
times where when it was the same thing, it didn't catch it because it was so fast, if I remember right. But anyway.
Oh, so let's see what happens when you reload this one. You should get the text.
Bingo, wonderful.
Yep. So yeah, the line 20 was the issue that you were showing the variable itself instead of the text. So yeah.
Then, if I may, I have another question about what I'm trying to do is save and reload in one command with Control R.
And when you say save, are you saying like sending Control S, like to Control S?
Yeah.
Then just use the send command, send. And then the caret, the Control S, and then reload. Yeah.
And then reload, and then.
Oh, the message box should be on the because line 29 is going to shut down the script. So that message box is never going to show up. So you probably would like to put it before the reload. It's going to show the message box and then reload. As soon as you click OK, it would reload the script. That's the idea behind that one. Now, the question is, this Control S, are you sending it to a specific program or any program that is in front of you?
I'm trying to save the AHK file.
So this same file, we mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm not following. So when you press Control R, what are you expecting to happen?
Save the AHK file and then reload it and get a message that it worked.
So this Control R, are you going to press it when you're here in the editor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then that's okay. Yeah, this hotkey is good.
Okay. Now the thing is, I'm pressing Control R, but I don't get the message. That's why I put in the 100 here, because another time it was showing up, but just briefly. But
no, because that's what I meant. So you were seeing the reloading of the script was happening before the message box, right? And you were seeing the message and it went away right away because it was reloading. So now if you put the message box before reloading, the message box is going to stay there until you click OK. When you click OK, then the script is going to reload.
But okay, but I'm doing Control R now.
No, but right now, remember that everything in there is commented out. So you have to put that code from 27 to 31. From 27 to 31, you have to put it outside of the comment.
Oh, that's dear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you put it out there, and can you go up a little bit, please?
Yeah.
Let me see something. Do you have more code below this message box?
Yeah.
Line 20?
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So on line 20, you should put a return in there. Right there.
Okay.
Return. Right. Because that's the end of the auto execute section. After that, you have some code that is just hotkeys and hot strings, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
Okay. Now I'm pressing Control R, but
no, let's reload the script first. Okay, so now let's go ahead and press Control R. Now you click OK, and now you see that it reloaded. You see that?
Yes, I did. Okay. So, okay, that's fine. Forget about this. Okay, so now, oh dear. Okay, go here, edit. What the heck?
Oh, it's opening with, it's not opening with the, with the editor. Just select the second one, yeah, that one. No, but you don't want to open it, maybe. Oh, so the edit command is actually opening with the everything, not with edit script.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what that was. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So basically, you have your hotkey. The line that was actually messing the script was line 26, that you had it before the message box, and that's what made it so that it didn't work.
Okay. And then I wanted, this is sort of from the sublime to the amateurish here, but let me see, that, and then D : edit. Okay, does that seem right?
Yes, that seems completely right.
Okay, so first of all,
if you control R, no, just do the, yeah, exactly. Just do okay, and let's see if that works. So if you Control Shift D.
Okay, and then I'll minimize that, and then Control D. Oh dear.
Control Shift D. You selected Control Shift D. Right. It brought this up, which is the same as you were doing. So what is going on? There's a problem with your registry. Okay, so your registry, yeah. So this program, the everything program, is that how it's called? Everything? How?
Running out there on the time to make sure we're watching. We're about to end.
Okay, so the everything program hijacked that particular command. That command, when you click on edit, it opens with itself, but it shouldn't open with it. But that is on your registry. And you would have to, maybe we can send you an email on how to fix that, but yeah, that's what happened.
Well, we have a script to change the default editor, right?
Oh, right, yeah, we do. Actually, yes, we do. So we can send you that, and with that, you change your editor to this, and when you right-click on edit, it should open with it. But I would say that the hotkey is actually working. It's just like it's opening the wrong program, but it is not because of the program, it's because of the registry.
I think I understood. I'm proposing just change it to Alt Shift. Okay. So then Alt Shift D didn't work.
It is working. It is opening the everything program, which is what is set right now to open. But don't worry, we will try to figure it out later.
There.
That worked. Okay.
Yeah, because Control Shift
no, but
was I set that in everything to open everything.
Okay.
Alt Shift D works here.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
I gather your time is pretty close.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm like, you were talking such high level, and then I brought it down to the beginning.
It's okay. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And that's what we need, because most of the people here might not know too much about it. So we try to do it as simple as possible. That's good.
I know that Joe, he's slow sometimes. He
there you go.
I had a question about dates, and I just pointed them to there's a script on the forum that you can take almost like any date structure and push something to it, and it converts it into like an AutoHotkey date format, which then allows you to do math on it and do whatever you want. But if the format you're always getting it is in that structure where it's 2 characters, a dash, which I think the 2 characters were the day, and then 2 characters in the month, and then a dash, and then the 4 characters, you could just use substring to say, go grab those pieces, right? Very simply, and reorganize them however you want, right?
Yeah,
so
that is right. Or use string split with the dash and gives you the 3.
Easy for you guys to say.
Well, you know what's funny, right, is it doesn't dawn on you when you start working with AutoHotkey how often it takes a long time to realize how much of our time is actually working with text, of just playing with text. It's crazy how often it comes up, and
that's why it's good to have very good string functions.
Yeah.
And the string functions like regular expression match, regular expression replace, in string replace, in string substring, those that you mentioned, right? All of those functions and the string split, all of those functions, it is a good thing to have a handle of them, because you're gonna need them very often.
At my old job, 50% of my code was just playing with text.
Yeah.
Formatting it, making like string replacements.
Yeah.
That was like 50% of my text in the work environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Python is, I'll give it credit there. Like it's slicing and
They're
stuff.
really good at it. Yes, that's true. They're really good at it.
But you can do a lot once you understand the in string and stir split. Those 2 alone, you know, it makes it much like, actually back to, as I said, a regex. I mean, that's why it was invented, right? Is for parsing complex patterns.
I was going to say, wait till he gets to regex.
Yeah, because it's phenomenal. Because you realize, oh, there's an exception. Like the thing you just mentioned. Oh, sometimes it doesn't have the 0 when it's a day of the week that's less than 10. It doesn't. Some of them don't have zeros and some of them do. And then you're like, handling that with actual commands instead of a regex gets to be really annoying.
Yes,
anyway. So thanks everyone. It's great seeing you guys here. Have a great weekend. If I don't talk to you, probably won't talk.
There you go.
Yeah, everyone.